There's something captivating about the idea of a person pushing the limits of human achievement, only to vanish without a trace. 87 years after Amelia Earhart's mysterious disappearance over the Pacific, a new discovery might finally provide answers to one of history's greatest aviation puzzles. But before we dive into the present, let's step back to Amelia's early life. How did she grow into a global aviation icon, eventually becoming the focus of one of the most baffling unsolved mysteries of the 20th century? The early years of a trailblazer. Amelia Earhart was born on July 24, 1897 in Atchison, Kansas, and from the start, she was not one to conform to societal expectations. Growing up, she was fascinated by stories of women who succeeded in male-dominated fields, and by the time she had her first ride in an airplane in 1920, her mind was made up. She had to fly. By 1928, Earhart had made history as the first woman to fly across the Atlantic as a passenger, but that wasn't enough for her. She was determined to make her mark as a pilot, and in 1932, she did just that. Earhart became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. It was a groundbreaking achievement, and it cemented her status as one of the most famous aviators of her time. The first attempt. In 1937, Amelia Earhart, along with her navigator Fred Noonan, set out on their ambitious quest to circumnavigate the globe. However, things didn't go as planned from the beginning. On March 17, 1937, Amelia and her crew embarked on their first attempt, flying from Oakland, California to Honolulu, Hawaii. But the adventure came to an abrupt halt after a non-fatal crash damaged the plane during takeoff from Luke Field in Hawaii. With the plane's propeller hubs malfunctioning, the crew had no choice but to abandon the flight and return the aircraft to Lockheed's factory in Burbank, California for repairs. It was a setback, but Earhart wasn't one to give up easily. While the plane was being repaired, she and her husband, George Putnam, secured additional funding for a second attempt. The second attempt to fly around the world began quietly. There was no grand announcement, just a simple flight from Oakland to Miami, Florida, where Earhart then made her intentions public. This time, however, the crew was down to just two, Amelia herself and Fred Noonan, her navigator. Manning, the skilled radio operator from the first attempt, had left the crew. By June 1, 1937, they were off. The journey was long, with stops across South America, Africa, and Southeast Asia. On June 29th, they landed in Lae, New Guinea, having completed about 22,000 miles of the journey. Only 7,000 miles remained, mostly over the Pacific Ocean. But this last leg, from Lae to Howland Island, would prove to be the most treacherous. Howland Island was a tiny, flat dot in the Pacific, just 6,500 feet long and 1,600 feet wide, hardly an easy target to spot from the sky. Earhart and Noonan took off from Lae on July 2, 1937, carrying about 1,100 gallons of fuel, enough for about 20 hours of flying. They expected to land on Howland Island the next day, July 2nd. The US Coast Guard was prepared to help them find the island. The cutter Itasca was stationed near Howland, ready to guide Earhart in using radio signals and even creating smoke signals from the ship's boilers to make the island easier to spot. But the plan didn't work. Radio silence and disappearance. As Earhart and Noonan approached Howland Island, communication started breaking down. The Itasca received Earhart's transmissions, but Earhart couldn't hear them. At 6:14 a.m., Earhart reported that they were about 200 miles away from Howland. At 7:30 a.m., she indicated they had about 30 minutes of fuel left and were struggling to find the island. At 7:58 a.m., Earhart's last known transmission was received. She reported flying along a line of position that ran north to south, which should have taken her right over Howland Island. But neither she nor Noonan saw it. Shortly after that transmission, all contact was lost. The plane never made it to Howland Island. Earhart and Noonan had vanished without a trace. The search. Immediately after Earhart's last message, the Itasca began searching the waters north and west of Howland Island. The US Navy quickly joined the effort, launching an unprecedented search operation that lasted until July 19, 1937. At the time, it was the most expensive and extensive air and sea search in US history, costing a staggering $4 million. Yet despite these efforts, no physical the plane or its crew was found. In the days following Earhart's disappearance, there were several reports of radio transmissions that seemed to come from her plane. On July 3rd and July 6th, an amateur radio operator in Oakland reported hearing what sounded like distress calls. But as more and more unconfirmed reports rolled in, it became difficult to tell which ones were genuine and which were hoaxes. After the official search ended, George Putnam, Earhart's husband, funded a private search of nearby islands. But that too came up empty-handed. Earhart was officially declared dead on January 5th, 1939. Theories and speculation. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged about what happened to Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan. Some believe that they ran out of fuel and crashed into the ocean. Others speculate that they may have landed on an uninhabited island and died there, unable to call for help. One theory even suggests that Earhart and Noonan were captured by the Japanese and died in captivity, a modern discovery. Now, after nearly 90 years of speculation, a potentially groundbreaking discovery has reignited hope of finally solving the mystery. In 2024, a company called Deep Sea Vision, based in Charleston, South Carolina, found an object on the ocean floor that could be Earhart's missing plane. Using advanced sonar technology, they detected an object about 16,000 feet below the surface, roughly 100 miles from Howland Island. The size, shape, and proportions of the object suggest that it could be Earhart's Lockheed Electra. In July 2024, Deep Sea Vision presented their findings at the Amelia Earhart Hangar Museum. They plan to return to the site in late 2024 or early 2025 with an underwater camera to confirm their discovery. If the object is indeed Earhart's plane, it could be one of the most significant archaeological finds of the century. However, raising the plane from the ocean floor would present enormous logistical challenges, and preserving it would be an even greater task. If you found this story as captivating as we did, make sure to like, subscribe to Legends of Aviation, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates on this incredible discovery.